Alright guys, here's my 1994 Jeep Wrangler YJ, and what we're going to do here today is actually change out the radiator due to the fact that this one's plastic top core tanks are leaking. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm going to do here. Going to come underneath here, and right there is the drain cog. Now I'm going to pull that out and let it drain a bit. You're going to want to make sure that your vehicle is nice and cool. You don't want it to be too hot. I was just running this one, so it might be nice and warm for me, but hopefully not too hot. No, it's not bad. And watch out for that. Watch out for it exploding like that. And it will also spray a lot harder like that once you remove the radiator cap. So I'm going to go ahead and drain this and put my phone down. I'll show you guys afterwards. Alright guys, now that we have the fluid draining out of there, I'm going to go ahead and start removing the hoses. So if you come up top, you got your upper radiator hose. You come around, you've got your lower radiator hose down there. And right there, that's where it's at. You're going to go ahead and pull those, and any other attached hoses, like if you have the oil cooler run into it for the transmission or anything like that. I do not, so mine's a fairly straightforward system. And this is actually also on the 2.5 liter little 4-cylinder. And as you can see, Jeep made it pretty easy with so much room to play with. All you got to do is remove this fan shroud, and you've got a lot of room to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and start removing those hoses, and I'll get back with you. So when removing this lower radiator hose, you're going to want to make sure to keep your bucket handy, because there is going to be some more fluid coming out. And you may have noticed from before the first clip that my radiator fluid was coming out kind of a clearish green, and that was due to the fact that I had already drained out the antifreeze, and then I ran some water through it and got it to operating temperature to kind of flush the block out as well. But you can kind of see that it's not exactly the nicest green color. It's more of a dirt brown almost, and so it's also a bonus to do that to flush everything, so you're starting out with fresh new fluids when you put in the new radiator. But now we've got all the fluid drained out of there, we're going to start by removing all these bolts here for the fan shroud to get that clearing out of our way. You've got 2 of them there. If you come to this other side, you've got some more, one there. There'll be another down there. So just remove those, and then we'll lift that shroud out of the way to create some more room for us. Look at that, guys. Look at how much more room that is in there. I can't believe Jeep allowed this much space to be put in with nothing there. I know if you had the 4.0, the 6-cylinder, you'd be cramped up in there pretty dang tight, but this 4-cylinder makes it really nice. And before I forget, there's actually one more hose that you do need to remove, and it's this one here for the overflow. So you want to remove that Corbin clamp, get that out of there, and then we can start removing the bolts to get the radiator out. Alright, now I've got that hose removed. Let's look at the bolts that we have to remove to get the radiator out. So we've got one there, there's one there in the middle, and one down the bottom, and I'm assuming it's the same on the other side as well. So yeah, one up there up top. We've got one in the middle, yep, and one down bottom. So we just got to remove those 6 bolts. Radiator should just pull right on out. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started on that. Alright guys, here is a side-by-side comparison of the old radiator. You can see how corroded and crappy that is compared to the new. And I wasn't having any cooling issues, just a little bit of leak around here on the top tank portion where they crimp that on. That's where I was getting my leak from. And as you can see, the side panels just fell off. They weren't that great a shape. So this new one should do me a lot better, hopefully. And I believe, so this one, old one was a copper core, and this one's an all new aluminum core. All right, so this new radiator I actually got from my local Napa Auto Parts, and for a pretty good deal. I think it was like 80 bucks or something like that, single row aluminum. And then, like I was saying, when you're putting it in, you're gonna want to make sure not to destroy any of these fins, the metal fins in there. So now is actually a really good time as well to inspect your hoses. Make sure there's no cracks, make sure they're not too stiff or hard or anything like that. I did find a problem with this lower radiator hose, so I'm going to be replacing that one. I do have a new one, again, from my local Napa Auto Parts. So slap that on there and we can start filling it with coolant. Alright guys, now we've got the radiator hoses all installed. Upper, lower, and we do have the overflow tank installed. So now let's go ahead and fill it with antifreeze before we put the shroud on, get it running, and make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. So now that we got it full, we're going to want to run it with the radiator cap off to make sure we get all the air bubbles out. Cool. Now that we have all the air bubbles out, we can go ahead and put that fan shroud back in. There you go, guys. That is my install of the radiator in a 1994 Jeep Wrangler YJ with a 2.5 liter. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.